Today, I got a message from a stranger. Hi, my name is June. You don't know me, but I'm asking you to meet me tomorrow at 6 p.m. It's urgent. Creamy coffee. My name is Stan, and I'm not the kind of guy women usually write to, especially not strangers. But one evening, just as I was scrolling through shows to find something for me and my wife to watch, a notification popped up on my phone screen. I just stared at that message, frozen. At first, I didn't even realize it was meant for me. The profile photo was a woman, maybe 35 years old, pretty, smiling. I locked my screen. I'm not someone who gets attention, I never have been. And definitely not the type women message first. I've always been overweight. Even back in school, what I had was humor, honesty, and a sort of naive belief that it would be enough. My wife, Rose, she was the same way. We met at a dance night for plus-size people when we were both 20. Her cheeks turned red so fast when she laughed at one of my dumb jokes. That moment stuck with me. I decided she was the one. We made a promise to each other that we'd face the world together no matter what. We got married and built a life that felt safe. Cozy. TV shows, pizza nights, oversized blankets, and a bed that always felt a bit too tight. Not because we were cuddling, but because of our size. I'm not trying to justify it, just telling it straight. Back then, we were both a little careless and foolish, but happy. Then one day, a doctor sat us down and said, "Your test results are concerning. If you don't lose at least 15 to 20 kilos, each, the health risks are critical for both of you." I didn't say anything right away. That moment, it was like a cliff edge, a point you can't walk back from. I finally said, "We'll figure something out." I took it seriously. I built a weight loss program for us. Diet, exercise, early mornings. We started getting up at 6 to go for a run. God, it was brutal. It hurt. Everything hurt, but only at the beginning. After a while, we got into it. We were doing it together, as partners, as a team. I held on to her, she held on to me, and it was easier that way. It really was. After just 3 weeks, Rose looked different. Her eyes were brighter. Her skin was clearer. She had new leggings, a new way of walking, like she felt lighter on her feet. "See the difference?" she asked, spinning in front of the mirror. "Yeah," I answered with a smile, swallowing the bitterness behind my teeth. Because my numbers hadn't changed. If anything, I had gained a little. I started asking doctors questions, trying to understand. And what I heard was, "You probably have metabolic syndrome. We need more in-depth tests. This isn't just about weight, it's genetic." I didn't complain. I never do. I just kept moving forward, quietly. I started researching special diets, adjusting everything. I wasn't giving up. I had a goal. I wanted to live. I wanted us to live. But Rose, she started changing in more ways than just her body. One day, she came home with blonde hair and a short bob cut, a totally new look. And yeah, I was proud of her. I really was. For our wedding anniversary, we gifted each other fitness bracelets. It felt sweet, like we were really doing this as a team looking out for each other's health. Rose got more and more into fitness. She'd even go to the gym twice a day sometimes. "Cliff's got this new workout program today. It's amazing. Can you believe he sometimes trains models?" "Cliff? My new trainer. He's really good looking." "I'm getting jealous," I joked. "Oh, come on. He's got tons of clients and they're all obsessed with him. He says, I've got real potential." Well, what could I say? I was genuinely happy for her, and I kept on trying to lose weight. I spent the entire next day thinking about that strange message from June. No matter how many times I tried to brush it off, curiosity won in the end. The cafe was nearly empty, just a couple of pears scattered here and there, and someone hunched over a laptop in the corner. I got there early, sat with my back to the wall, facing the entrance. My hands wouldn't stay still. She was late by a few minutes. When the bell above the door jingled, I looked up and saw her. She walked straight to my table and slid into the chair across from me. "I'm June," she breathed out, her voice barely above a whisper. She had a narrow face, pale, baggy sweater, no makeup, just tired eyes and nervous hands fidgeting with her phone. "Thanks for coming," she said quietly. "This isn't easy for me." I hesitated, trying to read her. "Honestly?" I shrugged. "I don't even know why I showed up." June looked down at the table, lips pressed together. For a second, I thought she might change her mind and leave. But then she started, eyes darting everywhere but at me. "I go to the same gym as your wife," she said. "That's how I know her. I'm not here to cause trouble. I swear." I waited. She wrung her hands, glanced at the windows, then took a deep breath. A waitress came over to our table with coffee. June shook her head, signaling that she didn't want anything. The waitress gave a little huff and walked away, clearly annoyed. June's hands trembled as she wrapped them around her cup. She looked down, voice barely above a whisper. "I go to the same gym as Rose," she repeated. "One day she came over after my class and started telling me how great her trainer was, Cliff. She said he was the best, that with him I'd see results fast. She was really pushing it, honestly. Kept saying how much he changed her life." She took a shaky breath, kept talking. "So I booked a session, then a few more. Cliff, he was charming, confident, he paid attention, made you feel special, you know? And then, one night after everyone else had left, it just happened. We hooked up in the locker room. I know it was stupid. I regret it so much. That was your choice. What does my wife have to do with it?" She paused, staring straight through me. But the next day, I got a message from Rose. Not even a hello, just straight to the point. She wrote, "Your little secret will stay safe if you follow my instructions. Otherwise, your husband and everyone else finds out what you did." I just stared at her, my chest tightening. "Are you kidding me?" June shook her head, her eyes shining with tears. "I wish I was. I'm married. I have a little girl. I couldn't let them find out. So I did what Rose told me. At first, it was just small things, but then the demands got worse. She wanted intimate photos and videos. If I pushed back, the threats got nastier. I didn't want to, but I felt like I had no choice if I wanted to protect my family." She looked like she was about to break. "That's when the blackmail really started. They're working together." "I know how crazy it sounds, but please, you have to believe me." My hands clenched into fists under the table. My mouth was bone dry. The room felt like it was tilting. Was this woman crazy? "That's it. I'm done." I stood up, pushing my chair back. "Goodbye." "Wait." June fumbled with her phone and showed me a string of messages. The texts were filled with threats, instructions, but the number was unlisted, just a random set of digits. "And how do you even know this is Rose?" "That could be anybody. It's not even her number." She shook her head, desperate. "Trust me, it's her. She's smart about this. She even talked to me in the locker room, said things that matched the messages. She's just careful. Please, you have to believe me." I looked at her for a long moment. "I don't." June's face crumpled. "Please, wait. There's something else." She looked me in the eyes, voice shaky, like she was afraid of what she was about to say. "They're lovers." My stomach flipped. "Who?" "Your wife and Cliff. They're together. Lovers and partners in all this. That's why I came to you. Please, help me stop them." "I can't do this anymore. I can't." Her voice broke and tears spilled over her cheeks. She started crying, so raw and real, it almost made me believe her, but I couldn't. My head was spinning. "I'm sorry, this is insane," I muttered, grabbing my coat. "I don't believe any of it." I turned and walked out, leaving June sobbing at the table behind me. But after that meeting with June, I couldn't stop watching Rose. I mean, really watching her. Every move, every word, every little change in routine. The whole story June told me sounded insane, sure. But what if some part of it was true? The thought got into my head and just started eating me alive. I tried to shake it. For days, I told myself, it's nothing. Rose is your wife. She'd never. But the seed of doubt was already growing and I couldn't get rid of it. I started noticing things I'd brushed off before, like how Rose suddenly had these expensive branded clothes, Lululemon leggings, fancy running shoes, even a real leather purse, stuff she never would have spent money on before. She'd come home from the gym, glowing and breathless, and she always had something new. One evening, as she came through the door with another shopping bag, I couldn't help myself. New jacket. I tried to sound casual, but I could hear the tightness in my own voice. She smiled, shrugged, didn't quite meet my eyes. "Yeah, Mom sent me some money for my birthday," she said, tossing the bag on the table. I nodded. "Didn't your mom give you a necklace last month too?" Rose laughed, waving her hand like it was no big deal. She's been generous lately. Wants me to treat myself." I wanted to believe her. God, I really did. For years, I never had a single reason not to trust her. But now every answer felt rehearsed, too quick, too easy. A week later, I found a receipt from some boutique stuffed in her gym bag. I picked it up, read the total, over $200 for a single pair of shoes. That was more than she made in a whole shift at the cafe. That night, I brought it up as we got ready for bed. Rose, can I ask you something? She didn't look up from her phone. I showed her the receipt, watching her face closely. She barely blinked. I used some savings. What's the big deal? I nodded, slid the receipt back into the drawer. No big deal. Just asking. But that's when I realized she'd always been a terrible liar. And tonight, she didn't even flinch. That scared me more than anything. The next day, Rose told me she was meeting up with a friend at a cafe. You mind if I go out for a bit? Sarah's been dying to catch up, she said, slipping on her jacket, already halfway out the door. Nah, go have fun, I said, trying to sound normal. Text me if you're out late. Of course, she called over her shoulder. I stayed home, hit the weights in our little basement gym, tried to lose myself in the burn, but my mind kept drifting. After a set, I went upstairs, grabbed some water, checked my phone. Habit made me open the fitness app. The one Rose's tracker was synced to, same as mine. The little green dot next to her profile meant she was active. Her heart rate was up, 136, then 145. I stared at the numbers. It was past 9:15 p.m. I frowned. What the hell is she doing at a cafe with a heart rate like that? I texted her. Me. Everything good? No answer. I called, straight to voicemail. Waited a few minutes, called again and again. 20 times, just hearing the deadline. I started pacing. My mind was racing with every worst-case scenario. By the time I heard the door unlock, it was almost midnight. Rose stepped in, cheeks flushed, hair a little messy. There was a brightness in her eyes I hadn't seen in a while. I caught a whiff of something. Perfume, sweat, something else I couldn't place. She kicked off her shoes, tried to act casual. Hey, sorry, we lost track of time. Sarah wanted to go dancing after. Oh, I hope you don't mind. I needed it honestly, she said, her voice light and a little too cheerful. I stared at her, trying to read her face. Dancing, huh? I said. That's why your heart rate was through the roof? She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Yeah, the tracker goes nuts when I'm out there. You know that. Sure, I said. But something about the way she avoided my eyes, something was off. She went straight to the bathroom, closed the door behind her. I stood in the hallway, heart pounding. I pulled out my phone and typed out a message to June. Me. I want to meet. I need to know everything. I hit send. My hands were shaking. Something in my gut told me, whatever June was going to say, I had to hear it. We met for the second time at a different cafe. A tiny hole in the wall, no security cameras, no nosy waiters hovering around. This time, I didn't come as some shell-shocked husband. I was there as a man who needed the truth. June sat across from me, nursing a cup of tea. She looked nervous, but I didn't have patience for small talk. You still got the number they used? I asked, keeping my voice low. She nodded, pulled out her phone, and scrolled for a second. Then she showed me a screenshot, a regular cell number. No name, just digits on the screen. I nodded, took out my own phone, and wrote it down in my notes. All right, how often did they text you? What exactly did they ask for? June bit her lip, stared down at her cup. Her voice shook. I had an affair with Cliff. Well, it wasn't really an affair. We slept together once. She hesitated, shame all over her face. After, I found out he'd filmed it. He said if I didn't do what they told me, he would send that video to my husband. He'd go public. I panicked. I couldn't let that happen. What are they making you do? I asked, my stomach turning with disgust at all of this. I have to film explicit videos, she said quietly. Sometimes in the bathroom, sometimes in the bedroom when my husband's not home. June was trembling now, barely keeping it together. I don't think I'm the only one. I really don't. I think they're blackmailing other women too. I saw Rose talking to other women at the gym and introducing them to Cliff. She looked back at me, her expression pleading. She pushes them toward Cliff. After what happened to me, I started noticing it all the time. The pattern. I think they're working together, like a team. She rubbed at her eyes, her voice cracking. God, I feel so stupid for not seeing it sooner. I want it to stop. I want them to leave me alone. I didn't interrupt, didn't try to comfort her. I just listened and took notes, stone-faced. Inside, my mind was racing. Everything she said lined up, made too much sense to be random. A plan was already forming in my head. This was way bigger than a messy affair or a broken marriage. This was something criminal, something I couldn't just let slide. I looked June in the eyes, calm but cold. All right, I need you to keep every message, every detail, and don't tell anyone we met, not yet. Understood? She nodded, wiping her eyes. I got up, left cash for both our drinks, and walked out, the number burning a hole in my pocket and a storm starting to build in my chest. That same evening, I started digging into Cliff's background. I found him on social media. His handle was Cliff Fit Mentor. Profile picture, just his torso flexed. Tagline, be the version of yourself others want to see. Made my skin crawl. Turns out he worked at several gyms around the city. The guy was in demand, booked solid all the time. For a few nights, I waited for him outside the gym. He drove a brand new black Dodge Charger, way out of budget for your average fitness trainer. One night, I tailed him to the edge of town. He pulled up to this huge house, big pool, 3 satellite dishes, garage packed with 2 more cars. Not the kind of life a personal trainer could afford. After 10 p.m., another car pulled up. A woman got out. She was dressed in a seductive dress and high heels. The woman looked excited and nervous, maybe even a little anxious. Was she another one of Cliff and Rose's victims? I watched as she slipped off her wedding ring and shoved it in her pocket. Then she finally pressed the buzzer and disappeared inside. That's when it really hit me. June was telling the truth. This creep was using women, playing games, probably making money off every bit of it. And the worst part? My own wife was probably involved. My Rose. I decided I'd dig from both sides. I'd gather evidence against Rose and against Cliff. I'd prove once and for all that they were lovers. I had a lot of work ahead of me, and I realized I couldn't do it alone. I was going to need help. I texted Lori. Me, I need to see you. It's urgent. Lori, my old classmate. We'd been friends forever. There was a time I had a thing for her, but I never had the guts. Then Rose happened. We met up at a quiet coffee shop. Lori showed up in her usual style. Sharp eyes, half a smirk, like she was already 3 steps ahead of everyone else. She slid into the booth, gave me a look. You look like hell. What's up? I leaned in. My voice was low. It's about Rose and her new life at the gym. She arched an eyebrow. Don't tell me she's cheating with her trainer. Classic. It's more than that, I said, fingers gripping my mug. Rose gets close to women at the gym. Then she introduces them to Cliff. He seduces them. She records it. Then together they blackmail the woman, force them to make intimate videos, put them on OnlyFans. Every new video is more leverage. It's a cycle. Lori blinked. For once, she didn't have a snappy comeback, just sat there turning it over. You want me to get close, catch them in the act? She asked, sipping her coffee like it was nothing. Only if you're not scared. She grinned, her eyes lighting up. Are you kidding? This is the most interesting thing to happen to me all year. They deserve to go down. A few days later, Lori called me. I signed up for Rose's gym, she said. I wore the tightest leggings I could find, and a top with a real deep V. I played the part, married, a little naive, just desperate to lose weight before my anniversary trip. You should have seen how fast Rose zeroed in on me. She started telling me how great Cliff was, how he could change my life. You recorded it? I asked. Every word. Listen, she played me a clip. Rose's voice was clear, almost rehearsed. Rose, you've got to meet Cliff. He's the best trainer I've ever worked with. He's totally changed my body. You'll see results so fast, Lori. Trust me. Lori, he sounds amazing. Is he taking new clients? Rose, he always has room for the right kind of woman. I think you'd be perfect. As I was listening, Lori's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smirked, and slid it across the table. A message from Cliff. Hey, Lori, saw you at the gym today. I have a feeling you've got real potential and a beauty that just needs a little confidence. How about a private session? My treat. Lori looked up at me, grinning. Well, looks like it's showtime. You don't have to go through with it, I said, serious. Just get the blackmail on tape. Then walk away. She squeezed my hand. Stan, I'm a big girl. And honestly, it's nice you care. She kissed me on the cheek. Friendly but warm, and stood up. Don't worry. As she left, I felt a weird mix of hope and dread. I needed evidence, but not at her expense. That same day, I met with a private investigator, guy named Ramirez. Tight suit, no-nonsense stare. I need you to look into my wife's accounts, I said. Anything suspicious? Money coming in, money going out. And I want you to follow her and Cliff. I need proof. Proof they're together, and proof she's in on the blackmail. Ramirez nodded, pulling out a notepad. You'll have it. Give me 3 days. I shook his hand, my mind already racing ahead. Now, all I could do was wait, and hope to God Lori stayed safe. Late that night, Lori texted me. Lori, he's hooked. We're waiting. Seeing that message, my stomach twisted. It bothered me, knowing she'd slept with him. But like she said, she's a grown woman. She decides how far she wants to go. Hell, maybe she even liked Cliff. Who knows? All we could do now is wait for Rose and Cliff to make their move, the blackmail. While I was chewing over that, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was the detective. We met in his car, parked under a streetlight 2 blocks from my house. He handed me a thick folder and a handful of photos. Got something for you, he said quietly. Inside the folder, paperwork, printouts, screenshots. The detective handed me a thin stack, voice low. Look at this. Rose isn't just some bystander. She's working with Cliff directly. She's listed as the contact on these contracts. Models, fitness influencers. Whatever label they want, it's all her. Here are the photos. Her meeting with these women. She's in chat logs with Cliff, talking deadlines, payments. But, he shook his head. I checked every account in her name. No strange transfers, no second bank account, no big withdrawals. Nothing on paper. I stared at the evidence, rage tightening in my chest. I flipped through the pages and stopped cold at one of the photos. A woman standing outside Cliff's house. I'd seen her before, lingering by the gate. Then there were more photos. Rose handing an envelope to a young woman in her car. Another one of her and Cliff at a gas station, holding hands. Kissing. That one hit hardest, like a punch to the gut. I turned page after page, every new detail cutting deeper than the last. By the end, my hands were shaking, but now I had everything I needed. And now, for the first time, I knew exactly how this was going to end. After the meeting, I drove home. Rose was still out. The house was too quiet, every shadow sharper than usual. I tore the place apart. Drawers, closet, every folder and box she'd ever hidden from me. Looking for cash, maybe hidden envelopes, anything. Then, in the back of her old jewelry box, I found a slip of paper. 12 random words. Below it, a string of letters and numbers. A crypto wallet address. My hands shook as I sat down at her laptop and opened up the wallet app. I typed in the seed phrase. The screen loaded. There it was. A balance that made my stomach drop. Month after month, huge payments, anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000. Flowing in like clockwork. Not a cent declared, no trace in the bank. All off the books. My blood ran cold. All this time, she'd been hiding more than secrets. She was hiding a fortune. I clenched my fists. For a second, I just stared at the numbers, heart pounding. Everything we'd ever fought over, bills, plans, the future, was a lie. She'd made me believe we were broke while she was raking in hundreds of thousands a month. Rage, then clarity. I copied my own wallet address, keyed it in, and sent every last dollar to myself. One click. Irreversible. As the transaction confirmed, I let out a long breath. My hands were still shaking. Not a word of this would go to the lawyers. Not a cent would be left for Rose. For once, I took something back. Lori and I sat by the window in a half-empty cafe, both of us leaning in, voices low. She stared at her coffee for a long time, then finally slid her phone across the table. Read this, she whispered, her eyes anxious, but her tone steady. I picked up her phone. The message was from an unknown number. We have a video of you cheating on your husband. If you don't want to ruin your life, follow the instructions. Turn on your phone's video recording, fill up the bathtub with bubbles, take off your clothes, and I'm not going to read the rest. Lori pressed her lips together and let out a slow breath. Well, looks like they think they've got me, but I'm not playing by their rules. She thought for a moment, then started typing out a reply. I'm going to act freaked out, confused, make them come out into the open. She dictated as she typed, half to herself, half to me. I don't understand. This must be some mistake. I'm not ready for this. I don't even know who you are. If this is real, I want to talk face to face first. We sat there, waiting. A minute later, her phone buzzed again. Fine, meet me in an hour at Westside Park. Alone. Lori gave me a quick, sly look. Guess I've got a date, but you're coming too, right? I'll be close, keeping watch, I said, voice tight. Keep your phone recording as soon as anyone shows up. If it gets ugly, you'll know, she said, managing a half smile. We got to the park early. Lori sat on a bench under a streetlight, making sure she was visible, playing her part. I hung back 20 yards behind a tree, phone ready to film. My pulse was racing. A few minutes went by, then someone stepped out of the shadows. It was Rose. She hurried up, glancing around, all nerves and shaky hands. Lori, oh God, I didn't know who else to turn to, Rose whispered, voice desperate. Cliff, he did the same thing to me. The blackmail, the threats, everything. I swear, I'm a victim too. He's making me do things, and I can't get out. Lori stayed cool, kept her face neutral, phone in her pocket, recording. She nodded, acting like she believed it. So what do we do, Rose? How do we get out of this? She asked, voice steady. I don't know. I just need help. Please, don't tell anyone, Rose said, eyes welling up. She left just as quickly, head down, shoulders shaking. Lori walked back to meet me at the car. I got everything on tape, she said. But I don't believe a word. She's no victim, Stan. She's in charge. But now we've got her and her whole actor recorded. I put a hand on her shoulder. Nice work. From here on out, we don't stop. Lori refused to film herself in the bathtub, doing what they wanted. She broke their blackmail scheme. That was our decision together. We waited to see what they would do next. We sat together in the cafe, side by side in a booth, both of us watching her phone. It was late. The place was nearly empty except for an old couple in the corner and a bored-looking barista cleaning the counter. We waited. It didn't take long for the messages to start coming in. First one, then another, and then a barrage. Where is your video? Is this a joke? You're only making this worse for yourself. Do it, or you'll regret it. Lori, don't be stupid. You know what's at stake. Every message, a little more desperate, a little more aggressive. Lori glanced at me, that sly, satisfied smile spreading on her lips. She leaned over and whispered, Look at them. They're panicking. I nodded, watching as more messages popped up. We warned you, Lori. Last chance. If you don't send the video, you'll pay for it. Lori let out a low laugh, calm and steady. They're yours now, Stan. Tear them apart. I looked at her, something cold settling in my chest. Don't worry, I will. I took screenshots of every single message, every threat, every bit of their panic. Now, for the first time, Rose and Cliff had shown their real faces. No more games, no more polite masks. It was all out in the open now. And this time, I was ready. Lori and I sat side by side in the parked car, hands cold, eyes locked on our phones. The message we drafted was brutally simple. No names needed. No threats beyond the ones these women already carried inside. Tonight, 7 p.m. Address, Loft 7, 2nd floor. If you don't show, your files go online. We sent it together one by one. As each text left my phone, I pictured the faces. Fear, anger, exhaustion. These women didn't need clues. They'd felt Cliff's grip. They'd heard Rose's voice. They knew exactly who was playing them and what was at stake. Lori exhaled. They'll come, not because they're confused, but because they know. They want this to end. I nodded. No more hiding. Tonight, we finish it. Loft 7 was dark and heavy with expectation. We'd rented it out for the night. One long row of chairs facing a blank screen, a laptop waiting, projector ready to expose everything. The air itself felt tight, like a held breath. From the car, I watched the women arrive, alone, heads down, steeling themselves. Each one walked in knowing this was a reckoning, not a mystery. They knew their tormentors. They'd come to face them, maybe to end it, maybe to see justice, maybe, finally, just to be believed. Lori stood at the door. She didn't introduce herself, didn't offer comfort. She just nodded them to their seats, silent witness to their strength. The women whispered to each other, What's going on? Why were we brought here? Among them was June, her eyes rimmed red but her back straight. They all recognized each other. In that silence, they shared the weight of what Cliff and Rose had done. When Rose arrived, dressed up, confident, expecting another night of control, she stopped cold. One look at that row of women, at their faces, turned her way. She came in dressed to the nines, hair curled, lips painted red, her favorite blue dress. She moved with the confidence of someone expecting romance, not judgment. Under my breath, I dictated the message Lori had sent her, the one that made my wife believe tonight was going to be some unforgettable date with her precious Cliff. Rose stepped into the room, heels tapping on the floor. She stopped short when she saw them. All the women she and Cliff had cornered, used, threatened. Every single face turned her way. She blinked, forced a little smile, tried to cover her confusion. "What's going on here?" Her eyes darted around the room. "Where's Cliff?" Lori's voice was calm and cold. "Sit down." Rose stared at her, then at the women. Then she sat, clutching her purse tightly in her lap. The room went silent except for her shaky breath. A few moments later, the door opened again. Cliff strolled in, all swagger, looking around with that same cocksure grin. But the moment he saw Rose, then the others, his smile died. He froze, halfway to the center of the room. Nobody said a word. Lori stepped to the projector, pressed a button. The screen flickered to life. The first video played. No faces, but bodies and movements and voices impossible to mistake. The kind of footage Cliff had used to threaten, to profit, to control. Then a second video. A third. The women in the chairs shrank back, eyes wide, a couple of them clutching at their coats or their bags. One covered her mouth, fighting tears. Cliff backed toward the door, hands up like he could stop what was coming. One of the women stood, voice shaking but full of heat. "You threatened us, used us." Another woman got up, eyes burning holes through Rose. "And you helped him, you witch. You made it all possible. I'm not guilty. He used me just like he used all of you. He forced me. He blackmailed me." Rose tried to defend herself. Cliff shook his head, voice hard and loud now, finally snapping. "Don't put this all on me, Rose," he barked, eyes blazing. "This whole scheme, it was your idea. You started it. We did this together. Don't you dare stand there and act like you're innocent." The room went silent. All the women stared, first at Cliff, then at Rose as the truth came out in the open. Rose's eyes filled with panic, a flash of anger, then that same cold calculation. "Cliff, stop! Don't twist this! You were the one who took it too far, you—" Cliff cut her off, voice rough, desperate. "You wanted the money as much as I did! You set it all up. You're not the victim here, Rose. Not tonight." One woman scoffed from the back, her voice sharp. "You're both monsters. You both deserve to pay." Another woman, voice barely above a whisper. "I almost killed myself because of what you two did to me." A hush fell over the room, heavy and real. Rose crumpled, slumping back into her chair, her mask shattered. For a moment, Rose and Cliff just glared at each other, their whole twisted partnership laid bare for the room to see. Lori stepped between them, her voice quiet but unbreakable. "You can turn on each other all you want. Tonight, it ends for both of you." And for the first time, neither of them had anything left to say. At that moment, the door's lock clicked. Heavy footsteps. 5 men entered the room. The first walked straight past everyone, shoulder stiff, jaw clenched, and stopped in front of a woman in a beige sweater, June. She shrank into her chair, eyes wide, bracing. He looked down at her, voice hoarse, shaking with something deeper than anger. "Why didn't you tell me?" he said quietly. June's eyes filled with tears. She covered her mouth, voice breaking. "I was trying to protect our family," she whispered, the words dissolving into sobs. The other man stood frozen by the row of chairs, staring hard at his wife. He swallowed, then spoke, voice cold as stone. "Beth, I can't forgive this. Not ever." He turned sharply and walked out, his wife scrambling after him, calling his name, desperate, lost. And then everything exploded. June's husband, red-faced and trembling, turned and punched Cliff straight in the gut. Cliff doubled over, gasping. The second man swung, catching Cliff hard in the jaw. He collapsed, arms up, trying to shield himself as shouts echoed. Someone kicked Cliff in the side. Women screamed, some crying, pleading for their husbands to stop. "Don't! Please! He's not worth it!" "Stop it! You'll go to jail!" Cliff managed to roll away, blood running from his mouth. He staggered up, shoved a chair aside, toppled the tripod with a crash, and bolted for the door, leaving chaos and silence in his wake. For a long moment, no one moved. Everyone's breath was loud, ragged, desperate. Lori looked toward the hidden camera, voice soft but sure. "We got everything. Every last bit." From outside, I spoke into my mic, watching through the monitor. "Not everything." Then I opened the car door and walked outside, ready to face what was left. I didn't let Cliff get away. I was waiting for him, right outside by his precious black Charger, the one he flaunted like a trophy. He came barreling out the door, wild-eyed, blood still smeared across his mouth. Didn't even see me coming. I stepped out of the shadows and met him with a right hook, hard, sharp, straight to the jaw. There was a sickening crack. Cliff's eyes rolled back. For a split second, he was out, dead weight in my hands. He crumpled to the ground, face first on the pavement. I stood over him, chest heaving. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then I heard it, the wail of sirens, blue and red lights streaking through the darkness. Police cars screeched into the lot, doors flying open. 2 officers rushed over. Cliff was just coming to, groaning, reaching for his mouth, blood dripping onto the concrete. They flipped him over, cuffed his wrist behind his back. He didn't even fight, just slumped, defeated, muttering under his breath. Inside, chaos spilled out onto the curb, women clutching each other, still crying, husbands standing between them and the world. In the swirl, I spotted Rose being led out. Her hair was a mess, mascara streaked down her cheeks, wrists locked in silver cuffs. She saw me, her eyes wild, pleading, desperate. She tried to twist toward me as they marched her past. "Stan, please! This isn't what you think. I can explain. I just stared her down, my voice low and even, full of everything I'd held in for too long. "This is just the beginning, you lying witch," I said quietly, so only she could hear. She stumbled, mouth open, tears streaming. The cops pulled her away, into the night, into her new life. One she'd built herself, one lie at a time. The parking lot buzzed with sirens, radios, the flash of cameras as evidence was gathered. But for the first time in years, I felt steady, grounded, whole. Justice had started, and I wasn't done yet. Unfortunately, Rose was released on bail. Her father paid it. I was sitting in the kitchen, coffee in hand, when she suddenly stormed through the front door. She looked furious. Her eyes were wild, burning with rage. "Where's my damn money, you bastard?" she screamed from the doorway. I set my coffee cup down calmly. "I have no idea what you're talking about." She stormed over to me, her breath sour, her body reeking of sweat and unwashed skin. Her hair was a tangled mess. She looked like a witch, plain and simple. "Don't play games with me. Where did all the money from my crypto wallet go?" She spat, flecks of saliva hitting my face. I just stared at her, feeling nothing but disgust. Even looking at her made my skin crawl. She slammed her fists on the table, voice rising, desperate and hysterical. "You stole it! I know you did! Give it back! That money's mine!" I stood up, looking her in the eye, voice low and steady. "That money was never yours. It belonged to the people you hurt. You're not getting it back." Rose glared at me, chest heaving, hands shaking in fury. "I swear, Stan, you'll regret this. I'll ruin you. You have no idea what I'm capable of." I didn't flinch. I didn't say another word. I just walked past her, leaving her standing there, alone with her anger and the mess she'd made of her life. And for the first time, I felt absolutely nothing. I couldn't stay under the same roof with Rose for even another minute. I packed my things in 10 minutes flat. Leaving everything behind and walking out was the only thing I could do. I didn't even think about where I would go. I just got in the car and called Lori. "Can I stay with you until the trial?" I asked quietly, almost embarrassed. "Come over," she said without hesitation. Her place was quiet. She just set the kettle on the table, and we sat together in silence in the kitchen. The end was near, but it wasn't going to be easy. It was time to get ready for the fight. The trial of State of New York versus Cliff Roberts and Rose Miller took place in courtroom number 4 of the county courthouse. The air was thick. This was more than just a trial. It was a reckoning. At the heart of the case, blackmail, distribution of intimate content without consent, conspiracy to commit sexual exploitation, invasion of privacy, and unlawful enrichment. The room was silent. You could feel every breath. Rose sat with her eyes lowered, a shadow of the woman she once was. Cliff nursed his bruised jaw, his arrogance replaced by sullen defiance. The prosecutor stood, voice steady, documents in hand. "Your Honor, more than a dozen women are ready to testify. We have their confessions, their pain, on video. Every action taken by Mr. Roberts was deliberate, premeditated. The defendant, Miss Miller, was no bystander. She didn't just know about Mr. Roberts' scheme. She recruited the victims, opened their accounts, coordinated every move. She was a full accomplice." Rose's lawyer shot to his feet, scrambling for a defense. "My client was unaware of the videos, Your Honor. She believed she was helping create fitness content, motivational photos, nothing more. She trusted a man she loved. She never meant to harm anyone." The prosecutor didn't flinch. He laid contract after contract on the judge's bench. She received 40% of all profits from the adult platform, Your Honor. The funds went straight to a bank account under her maiden name. We have video of her personally delivering payment envelopes. She appears in chat logs issuing deadlines to these women. A murmur ran through the courtroom as the screens lit up with fragments of video evidence, blurred faces, disguised voices, but every detail painfully clear. As one of the victims broke down, sobbing on the stand, Cliff suddenly tried to cut in, his voice desperate and defensive. "That's not how it happened! She's lying! She came on to me! She seduced me!" But the judge slammed the gavel down, voice booming. "You will remain silent until called upon." But Cliff wouldn't stop. "She sent me all those explicit videos. I never forced her to do anything." His lawyer hissed at him. "Shut up or you'll get held in contempt." Rose stared at the screen, ghostly pale, hands trembling. For the first time since this began, she didn't look at Cliff. Not once. Her attorney pleaded, "Your Honor, we moved to sever her case. She was manipulated. She's a victim too." But the judge shook his head, voice unwavering. "The motion is denied. This case will proceed to a jury trial. Both defendants will remain in custody pending further proceedings." The bailiffs moved in. As they escorted Cliff and Rose from the courtroom, Rose suddenly stopped, her eyes searching the crowd, until they landed on me. She hesitated, then whispered, barely loud enough for me to hear, "I loved you." I held her gaze, my face unreadable. For the first time, I felt nothing. No anger, no pity, only the cold certainty that whatever love had been there, it was gone. Without a word, I turned away, and behind me, the courtroom doors slammed shut on the past. The next day, court was in session again, this time for our divorce. I was ready to go all in. Stan Miller versus Rose Miller. The hearing lasted less than an hour, but there was more on the table than just the end of a marriage. I didn't want anything except the truth and peace. But in the paperwork, there was much more. My attorney stood, voice crisp and clear. "My client has suffered severe distress as a result of manipulation, infidelity, and Mrs. Miller's participation in a criminal scheme involving blackmail," my attorney finished. Rose sat across from me in a plain business suit, no jewelry, face empty, drained of excuses. For a long moment, she was silent. Finally, she spoke, her voice low, almost pleading, barely above a whisper. "Your Honor, I just want to say I'm so sorry. I know I made a mistake. It was only one affair. Only one man in all these years. I lost my head. Please, please, Stan, can't we just try again? Just one more chance." "I promise I'll do anything to fix this." I sat there, unmoving, my face a mask of stone. I didn't look at her. I felt nothing. Not anger, not hope, not even pity. Her lawyer asked that the case be heard separately from the ongoing criminal proceedings. The judge denied the request. "It's all connected," he said simply. My lawyer continued, laying out the story for the record. "Your Honor, we're filing a civil lawsuit for alienation of affection and intentional infliction of emotional distress. My client has suffered severe distress as a result of manipulation, infidelity, and Mrs. Miller's participation in a criminal scheme involving blackmail," he continued, laying out the story for the record. "My client lived with the respondent for over 10 years. He was loyal, supported her through everything, including a weight loss program he designed himself. Cliff Roberts, with whom Mrs. Miller had an intimate relationship, was not just a lover. He destroyed this marriage. Mr. Miller seeks compensation for humiliation, public disgrace, and severe emotional harm." The judge listened, silent, expression unreadable. I didn't look at Rose. I just sat there, waiting. Finally, the judge nodded. "Accepted for review. We'll open a separate proceeding. Stan Miller versus Cliff Roberts for emotional damages and marital destruction." And just like that, Rose was no longer a Miller. She never would be again. The next morning, the courthouse steps were swarmed with reporters, microphones, camera flashes, the relentless murmur of news crews. Everyone wanted the story. A few of the women who'd survived Cliff and Rose's scheme came forward to give statements. Most wore sunglasses flanked by their lawyers, names withheld for safety, but June didn't hide. She stood in front of the cameras, chin up, tears unshed. Her husband had filed for divorce, her family shattered. She looked at the crowd and didn't flinch. She wanted justice. the kind I'd once craved. She spoke first, voice steady but raw. We're joining together in a class action suit against OnlyFans. We demand accountability for the way our bodies became products, sold without our consent. They profited off our pain, ignored our reports, never bothered to check if we had agreed to anything. Lori was beside her, a folder of evidence clutched tight in her arms. She met the press with clear eyes. "We're not afraid," she said, holding the mic like a shield. "We're taking this all the way. These companies will answer, not just morally, but financially. We will make sure of it." Questions erupted. Flashes popped. The women stood shoulder to shoulder, battered but unbroken. After the press conference, June found me in the swirl of the crowd. She touched my arm, voice low, tired. "Coffee?" she asked softly. We sat together in a quiet diner for hours, two souls picking through the ruins, trying to find some piece of themselves left, broken, beaten down, alone. But somehow, not completely. We talked about everything. I learned she'd struggled with her weight too, for years. Diet after diet, always the outsider. She listened as I finally opened up about my own failures, my anger, my hurt. June gave me the card of her endocrinologist. "You should see him," she said gently. "He helped me when nothing else worked." I went. I got the tests. The results came back. A genetic disorder, a metabolic block. It wasn't my fault after all. The doctor sat across from me, voice calm, reassuring. "There's a way forward," he told me. "Not diets, not running marathons. Real treatment, a plan that fits your body." For the first time in years, I agreed without hesitation. I was ready to start over. Maybe, finally, not alone. 6 months later, I was down 30 kilos. My face looked different in the mirror. Sharper jaw, clearer eyes, a spark I hadn't seen in years. My posture changed. So did my clothes. I bought things I never would have tried before. Jeans that fit, shirts that actually made me feel good. For the first time in my life, I felt handsome, wanted. June and I started seeing each other for real. There was no shame, no pretending. A few months in, June told me she was pregnant, and I asked her to marry me. She said yes, but it wasn't the end with Rose. I was driving home from the baby store, the boxed-up crib rattling in the back seat. Sunlight flickered through the windshield, and for the first time in years, my heart felt light. I was humming, tapping the steering wheel, already picturing the nursery. That's when I saw the car in my rear view, beige, dented, hugging my bumper way too close. I ignored it at first, changed lanes, but it followed, faster. My hands tightened on the wheel. Suddenly, the car jerked out, swerved up alongside me, way too close. The driver shot past, then cut straight into my lane, forcing me to stomp the brakes. Tires screeched. The crib thudded against the back seat. My truck skidded sideways, fishtailing. Horns blared behind me. For a split second, I thought I was going to flip. The world spun, headlights and sun and panic all at once. I yanked the wheel, overcorrected, felt the truck rock, then finally shuddered to a stop on the gravel shoulder. My heart was pounding, breath coming in hard, fast bursts. Ahead of me, the beige car jerked to a stop, blocking both lanes. For a second, I just sat there, blood roaring in my ears. Then the driver's door flew open and someone stumbled out. I didn't recognize her at first. She was huge now, her body ballooned back to the size it used to be, bigger even. Her hair was greasy, dark roots showing, tangled around her shoulders. Her shirt was stretched thin, stained down the front with dark red and yellow. Sweatpants sagged around her hips. It was Rose. Empty burger wrappers and fry cartons spilled out of the car behind her as she stomped toward me, face blotchy, eyes wild. "You!" she shrieked, voice hoarse. "You did this to me, Stan! You ruined my life!" She hurled her milkshake. The cup burst against my windshield, white and sticky, dripping down the glass. She slammed both fists on my hood. "Look at me! I had everything! We were happy! I was loved! Now look at me! You destroyed everything! You think you can just walk away? Live some perfect little life? Start over with her?" She was sobbing now, tears streaking through smeared mascara, bits of ketchup in her hair. "You ruined me, Stan! You robbed me! You left me with nothing!" "Nothing." Rose slammed her fists on my hood, milkshake dripping down my windshield, sobbing and screaming. I pushed open my door and stepped out, heart still pounding, but I faced her, steady, almost calm. I wiped some of the shake off with my sleeve, looking her dead in the eyes. "Rose," I said, voice low but firm, "you did this to yourself. You lied. You betrayed everyone who cared about you, and you kept digging the hole deeper. I tried to save us. You burned it all down." She let out a guttural cry, fists clenched, face red and streaked with tears. No, you never understood. You just left me with nothing. I was desperate. I shook my head, voice colder now. No, Rose, you were selfish. You wanted more, no matter who you hurt. You can blame me all you want, but you made your own choices. She started to say something, but her voice broke, swallowed by another wave of sobs. She staggered back toward her car, tripping on a pile of wrappers. Just then, blue lights flashed behind us. A highway patrol cruiser pulled up, blocking her in. An officer stepped out, hand on his belt. "Ma'am, what's going on here?" he called. "She attacked me," I said quietly, holding up my hands. "She cut me off, threw stuff at my truck." The cop glanced at the milkshake dripping down my hood, at Rose, wild-eyed, shouting, waving her arms. He called for backup, then approached her car. "Ma'am, I need you to step out and talk to me, now." Rose kept screaming at me as the officers gently but firmly led her aside, cuffed her hands, and started questioning her. She kept trying to twist around, shouting, Stan, tell them! This isn't fair!" I just stood there, watching as they put her in the back of the cruiser, her voice finally fading. When they drove away, the world went quiet for a moment. I took a deep breath, wiped the last of the milkshake from my jacket, and let out a long, shaking sigh. Thank God, I thought. She's not my problem anymore.